our countries that are part of it have developed and prospered tremendously over the last 20 years during multilateral cooperation. A similar model ought to be discussed on the ASEAN frontier, adopting singular currency, as well as the capability and acceptability of free transfer and labour amongst the member states will also be touched. I invite your presenters from Squadron 6.
Squadron 6! Bangsa JDT!
Assalamualaikum and good morning. Before I continue with my speech and start our presentation today, I would like to invite everyone to scan our QR code for the sources if you would like to fact check us. I'll let's start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to go on a game with me. A game of imagination. I want all of you to imagine that you're living a happy life. A life where you have a family. You have 2 sons and 1 daughter. You're walking through the park. You're walking through the park. You see the crystal clear waters, the green forestry, the magnificent, clean and pure buildings. You are living a happy life. I imagine if I could tell you, with a snap of a finger, that could change. Imagine if all those buildings could turn into crumbles, into abandoned, destroyed buildings. Imagine if you no longer have a happy family. Imagine if you're jobless, you're homeless, and you have no hope whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not an imagination, but that is a reality to a lot of people all around the world. And it's because of this one magic word, recessions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a whole new world, a world that is globalized. A world where people trade with each other. But then, because of the COVID-19 recession, a lot has changed. COVID-19 started in China, it spreads to Malaysia, spreads to the United States, and it covered everything. It destroyed trade routes, it destroyed economies. For example, let's take a look at the United States. The United States had a lot of trade with its 4 trading partners, China, UK, Canada, and Mexico. It bought electronic devices from China. It sold cars to Canada. But then, because of the COVID-19, all of the trades did not happen. They can't buy anything. And because of that, millions of jobs were lost. If such things could happen to a country as big as America, what would happen to a country like Malaysia, Myanmar, Singapore, or Thailand? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we are proposing AET 2050 or the ASEAN Economic Transformation Plan. Ladies and gentlemen, AET has 5 objectives, which is to ensure regional stability, creates employment, safeguards national interests, nurtures resilient economy, and overcome poverty. Now, first of all, before we solve one of the common problems that ASEAN faces, we're going to do one thing. We're going to establish the IAA, which is the Institute of ASEAN Advancement. The IAA will serve as an investment bank, but it will have the same power as the EU Commission. It will be a very powerful body to regulate the whole of ASEAN. Now, it will also serve as an environmental regulator and will be fully funded by the rich countries such as Singapore, Brunei, Malaysia, and Philippines. And under ASEAN, they are mandated to pay 2% of their GDP. And with this, we can actually solve the wild card that ASEAN has. The biggest problem of it all, which is Myanmar. Ladies and gentlemen, the Myanmar military junta has taken power. They killed protesters and has caused a huge civil war. This civil war has killed millions and caused a huge humanitarian refugees that displaced 1.3 million people. And these refugees are causing instability in the whole of ASEAN region. But don't be afraid, because democracy will win and the Myanmar military junta will be destroyed. But what happens after the war ends? They will need money, right? So do you know what the IA will be doing? We'll be offering them a lot of money to help build their country. And with this, we're going to develop Myanmar into a prosperous state that will in turn ensure ASEAN will become more prosperous than ever. To talk more about the development plans we have for ASEAN, I'll hand it over to Mr. Numan.
Assalamualaikum and good evening everybody. So right now, I think we can all agree upon the idea that development is a key part and plays an integral part in developing the economy of ASEAN. So, I consider myself a very good home cook. So let me share you the recipe of developing a good economy, which only requires two main ingredients, which is money and labor. Now, to address this issue, we first need to divide ASEAN into two sectors, the developing countries and further developed countries. Let's dissect the NEP of Malaysia first. In the 1970s, our GDP per capita skyrocketed. This is because the citizens of our nation immersed themselves in science, technology, economy, engineering sectors. Yes, this developed our country. However, this created a new issue. It created unemployment. It created a void in unemployment in certain sectors like construction, agriculture, and plantations. It's still an ongoing problem in Singapore. 186,000 migrant workers are needed. It was quoted by the Deputy Minister of Agriculture. So, how are we going to tackle this issue? Like I mentioned earlier, we will divide this region into two types of nations. First of all, these red nations, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, Cambodia, these are in need of development. So, the citizens of these nations are willing to do these labors. They have the manpower. However, they lack the investment. They lack the fund to open up new factories, open up new sectors and industries. However, contrarily, these blue nations, further developed countries, they have the monetary fund and power to do so. However, like I previously mentioned, we lack the manpower to do so. Thus, through the AET 2050, we are proposing an inter-ASEAN interconnectivity plan, a win-win situation for all nations, thus propelling ASEAN into a stronger economic power. So, through our plan, we will give a leg up. It will ease inter-ASEAN direct investment, and in the worst case scenario, we will give emergency bailouts for bankruptcies, and of course, for these developing countries, we will give them access to untapped and untouched new markets. And of course, through this plan, we also do labor reforms. We will fully regulate the migration by the IAA. We will not charge them for any application for work permits and visas, and we will expedite the whole process. Ultimately, we will reduce the cost and time of this bureaucracy. And first, the most crucial thing is we will protect the human rights of these migrant workers, thus providing a good workplace security. Next, please. And it has been done before. Look at the Temasek Holdings in Singapore. They could invest in India. 41% stakes were bought for 2 billion Singapore dollars. And if we could do this so for India, we could do this so for ASEAN. And in the end, we will not only be a stronger economic bloc on par with stronger economic powers like rivaling China, on par with the Western world. We will be better. We will be a stronger economic bloc. Next, we will move to the education sector.
I will continue the explanations and presentations. Now I will talk about education. Do you know why suddenly education pops up in these economy presentations? Do you know, guys? Because education and economy is highly relevant, and someone says that if you want to build a nation's economy, you have to choose education path. But ironically, we all know that education, if you want to have a good and excellent education, it's hard because it costs a lot of money. Yes. But how about our friends who are in rural economy, who are in poverty? Poverty really destroys their opportunity. Many young age who live in rural area in poverty line that they choose to do a labor job in a young age because they think that money is more important than education. It's really ironic. Do ASEAN, the largest organizations in South Asian knows about this? Of course, they know, they observe, they analyze about this. But with IAA, they will offer you 3 programs for it. The first one is standardized education. If you talk about standardized education, it's talk about the system. System is about the student and teacher's ability, and then modernize the facility. So it's where we can modernize the place where the teacher transferring the knowledge to the student, and student will encode and then increase the wages for the teachers. And then second program is, thank you.
Now, to conclude our program, we believe AET 2050 is the way forward because it actually engulfs 7 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because we believe that in order to develop ASEAN as a region, we need to ensure that we comply with the United Nations standards. Because at the end of the day, in order for us to have a better Malaysia, we need a better ASEAN that is stronger militarily, economically, and politically. And we need to be independent. Because last time we took loans from the IMF, Indonesia had to cancel their plane and national car project. Last time we let foreign powers come into ASEAN, the Vietnam War happened when the United States intervened in the Civil War. Last time we let foreign powers storm ASEAN, the Chinese Navy sent their warships to South China Sea. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have AET 2050 to transform our economies, to build a better future for our generations and for the generations that will come and judge our actions today. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Squad 6. Now, I'd like to invite Professor Dr. Ali Sujani Ali and also Mr. Muhammad Izwan Faiz for the questions.
Very, very good presentation, I must say that. We got the answer, 6. So basically, since your squadron present about economy, so my question would be about the currency. Right, so do you suggest that ASEAN to have one currency like EU had done back in 1999? And one more question, is very simple one. Right, how under AET 2050 that you guys suggest, it's very good, can balancing and sustain between the economy in this region? Because when we say about economy, it must forward with the sustainability. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to 2010, the Greece economy dropped. It crashed because they were not able to do their financial policy properly. And what happens because of that? Germany, France, and the rich countries such as United Kingdom had to give money to Greece, to the IMF and Euro loans. I have a question for everyone. Myanmar, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, do you think they are developed countries? Of course not. We believe that a single-use currency is not a means of being a developed ASEAN, but it is the end goal as we want to integrate the whole region together. We believe that by 2050, once we have equitable development, once Cambodia is as good as Singapore, then only we can have a single-use currency. Because if we do it right now, then a lot of these richer countries will literally have to cover for the poorer countries. And then the poorer countries will be the one that will be benefiting the most. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great idea of this AET transformation. Right? So, My simple question is, who will lead the secretariat for this, and how to get all these ASEAN 10 countries to be together and really work towards this transformation?
Ladies and gentlemen, cash is king. So the leaders of this ASEAN institution will be those who possess the highest GDP per capita. And in this case, it would be Singapore, Malaysia, and Brunei currently. But it is a long-term plan until 2050. And by that time, we will have equitable development and GDP. Thus, and believe me, Indonesia will be a superpower in the forthcoming future. After they change to Nusantara, they will become a superpower. And ASEAN will become a superpower too. Yes.
I would also like to add on to that by giving a quote that is said by Deng Xiaoping in the 1990s. Deng Xiaoping has once said, for everyone to be rich, some people must be rich first. Sure, some people will argue that the current economic development of Southeast Asia is not equitable, as Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand is developing economically way faster than all the other countries. It's unfair, but it's the truth about economics. So with AEP, at least we can give an equal playing level for all of these ASEAN countries to catch up to the programs of IAA, and at the worst case scenario, provide emergency bailout. Because when we take a look at emergency bailout from the IMF, they will always have terms and conditions. And when you agree to the terms and conditions, it's literally giving away your country for free. Thank you.